Hello, welcome to the Quip Corner. I'm glad you could join me this week. January 20th, already. Interesting. So, after today, we have 345 days left in this year. January sure has a way of flying. Or is it just on my calendar that it flies? Well, today we will be talking about a slightly different but related topic to our first two videos in this year. If you remember, in the very first video, I talked about the stones or the big rocks, pebbles, sand, and water. And I need to give credit to my son who lent me his rock collection. As I thought about it, it taught me a different lesson. And then I realized I had a quip that talked a bit about it, so I'll definitely be sharing that. Last week we talked about not being distracted from your purpose. And this quip has some correlation with last week's video as well. So join me in the Quip Corner and let's dig in. Living by choice and refusing to be distracted go hand in hand, because anything, anyone, including the weather, can distract you from your purpose. You choose whether or not you let it distract you. When I was thinking about the very first video for this year, I knew I needed rocks and pebbles and things like that. So I said to one of my children, we're going to take a walk tomorrow because I need to pick some rocks for my video. And my husband said, have you checked the weather? Are you sure you'll find rocks in this weather? So my first inclination was like, so what's going to happen to that video? And then my son, who I had mentioned to that we're going to take a walk, said, do you want to use my rocks? And I was like, oh, I didn't remember you had a rock collection. Sure, thank you. And he graciously lent me his rock collection. So of course, due credit to him for being part of the making of that video. As I thought about it later, I learned a lesson, which is what I'm sharing today. And I'm sharing it by way of Quip 65. Quip 65 says, asking for help is evidence of wisdom. Receiving help is evidence of strength. The weak and unwise never ask for or receive help. Asking for help is evidence of wisdom. I know that there are people who feel that if you ask for help or receive help, you are weak. And they couldn't be further away from the truth. You may have noticed in some of my videos last year, I talked about the fact that none of us can do life alone. I even remember mentioning it when I was invited to talk to a group of ladies on the imposter syndrome. And the way I put it to them when I was talking about the imposter syndrome is, none of us can do life alone. Was that where I talked about it? No. It was talking about relationships, family relationships at a women's conference, family conference. And at that conference, I said to them that we cannot do life alone. No one can do life alone. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can't do life with everybody. So you need to find that sweet spot where there are people that you lean on or you support to do what they need to do. So if you think about last week's quip, we talked about not letting people distract you or detract you from fulfilling your purpose. Living by choice means that if you do need help, or shall I say when you do need help, you are not too arrogant to ask for help. Wise people ask for help, and you're even wiser when you ask the right people. And receiving it is showing that you're able to receive from people, to be a gracious receiver. Because there'll be a time when people will ask you for help. How would you feel if people asked you for help, you offered it, and they didn't receive it? I wouldn't feel good about it. So remember, you can't do everything by yourself. There are things that you must do yourself, definitely, but you can't do everything by yourself, which is why you rely on other people and ask for help. If you try to do everything by yourself, you will die sooner than you need to. And the world needs you. Not just the world, but your family, those big rocks we talked about the first week of January. So ask for help and receive help. Be a generous giver of help and a gracious receiver. Thanks again for joining me in the Quip Corner this week. I hope you enjoyed the daily Quipspirations. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you'll definitely be glad you did. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you. See you next week. Take care. Bye now.